in theater is the only way I learned, really. I found my mouth being able to ask questions. But with family, I didn't know how to ask questions. I would just keep quiet. So it's priceless for me that theater gets to talk about the genocide. Uwineza, that's my Rwandan name, given by my dad, and Adolatha is my sister's name, who would have been the firstborn of my dad and who didn't survive the genocide against Tutsis. But we changed it. It was Odorata. Her name was Odorata. And most people didn't like it because they were like, you sound like it's not a name for a baby. So they ended up giving me the nickname Andersonne, which ended up sticking. But I didn't know that I was Adolatha until I was like probably 7 or 8, when I had to go through, I think, bank slips. Then I saw a name, I was like, I think they made a mistake on paying my school fees. And that's when they were like, no, it's your name. But I didn't ask a lot of it, and no one gave me explanations. So I was like, okay. And then later on with my big sister, Madudu, she's the one who had to explain to me, Adolatha is your name. And it's been interesting to see how that name has evolved. I don't have Andersonne in my ID. In my ID, I only have Adolatha Uwineza. There was a project happening called Small Citizen. It was a project for children, and I was invited then to join theater for the first, I think, professional way of playing, because at school we used to play small theater pieces, but it was not a professional way of doing it. And then slowly I found Quest to the Cure, that was a specific play about the genocide. And I liked it a lot because it got, before you play, you have to go through a lot of conversations before you write a script, before you understand what the body needs to do, what the words need to do. And it was such a good space for me to ask questions, to listen, and to learn more about what happened. And with theater, I feel like it's the space where I really got the freedom to ask things I normally felt like would be insensitive to ask or bring up in conversations. When I was asking questions, curiosity was on the forefront. I was not realizing or acknowledging how I was feeling, or even questioning like what's happening. And I remember during the play, you're so focused on getting the play together, but when you get home, something collapsed. For the first play, something collapsed. I couldn't stop crying, and I couldn't voice what's happening, because I had been doing it for a month. We'd been preparing for a month. I had not had any issue. And then later, it's when I felt my body coming to accept what I've just been hearing, because sometimes we get in such a functioning mood of getting things done that we don't allow things to settle in. When we finished playing the first, it's when I felt like something in me, I couldn't tell at that time if it was either accumulated sadness that I had and I didn't know was there, or if it's new information that I had learned, and or the mix of all of it. Being born after is you get bits of information here and there, because you're also, for me, you're growing up with people who survived. So we're living with my cousins who'd lost both their parents, and it would be very joyful. We lived in a very joyful house where people are laughing, but then in April, things would change. The mood would change. People would get more inside. every April, I always say every April is never the same. For example, I remember when I was 14, 15, we were told, my family was told where they would find remainings of their family, and to go and dig the bodies and wash. And that was something that was total. They didn't want me to come in the rooms, but it was intense. Actually, now, not being able to put it something far, the bodies are there, the people are there. So again, you don't know how to ask certain questions. You don't know how to approach it. So you learn more how to listen and put small bits of information that come together. For me, it has been a way to, again, bring up conversations that are normally hard, or you don't know what's the right question to ask, when to ask it. But it's also been a very healing mirror for me, the arts, because artists have to take all that information and produce it in a way that is, I don't want to use the word digestible, but more something that untraumatic way, in a very condensed way that is better for a 7-year-old, for an 8-year-old. And theater, for me, the art specifically, really creates the language for a conversation that's normally not easy to have. Because you have Issue Art Center, you have High, you have Mashirika, and these spaces really allow artists to grow and learn with mentors before you step on a stage. So it's a very, because we don't get to go to these schools to teach us that. It's almost like a school. People are getting to see us on stages when we've really gone through strong and serious learning while doing. A lot of theater is about the genocide or talks about the genocide because art has a strong way of needing to talk about what people are living in the moment. Whether you go through music and theater, even dance, kind of has to talk about what the people are going through. For us who were born after the genocide, I find that really theater has been the space where it kind of stayed talking about the genocide, which allowed us then to, in that space, have more expression of asking, what are we not thinking about? What are we not representing? What are we not questioning as artists? When we're talking about us children or now adults that were born after the genocide, it's interesting to start questioning or thinking about how we are going to tell the stories, because we were born after and we think we have nothing to say about it, or probably don't have a right to say anything about it. But I think it's not right. It's not true, because we have what we've experienced. We have how these stories relate to us, how we carry names of victims, and we kind of forget that.